What's up, guys? My name's Ernie. I'm here representing Fantasy Face Off. We're going to go over your top five must draft rookies of this 2025 class. Let's jump right into it. My number one must draft rookie in the entire draft is Omarion Hampton. There is a lot to like here. So, the Chargers, they have one of the best young tackle tandems in the entire NFL. Probably one of the top five youngest offensive lines in the NFL. And Harbaugh is going to bring that smash mouth football mentality. You could see that he tried to do it last year. He didn't really have the bodies with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, even though he made it work with what he had. Now insert Omarion Hampton, who is going to be what I think is a monster. At least the upside is there. So this kid, he's a violent downhill runner. He reminds me a lot of Nick Chubb, just his play style and mentality. Um, Fun fact, Harbaugh recruited him to Michigan. So now he got a second chance in the NFL, and now they're going to finally unite, which I thought was an interesting nugget. He has your typical workhorse size. He's about 6 foot, a little over 220 pounds. He had the second most yards after contact in all of college football this season. His RAS score, that was in the top 45 of all time. Don't leave drafts without him. Seriously, I think Harbaugh, like I say, he's going to try to pound the football this year. I do think the Chargers are one of the teams that takes a step, and they're going to be run first, and you can't ask for a better landing spot. Yeah, Najee. I mean, I am a Najee fan. I think that move was more of insurance for their play style and what they're going to try to do this year, and that's pound the football. And if Omarion Hampton, God forbid, goes down or there's a freak injury, who are they going to rely on? J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards again? No, now you have a physical, solid runner that can come in and carry the load, because Najee would be 1,000-yard rusher behind this offensive line. That's how good this offensive line is. But I think he's more of a handcuff insurance. He's going to spell Omarion, especially at the beginning. It might be more of a split, but I think once Omarion starts to heat up, man, it's going to be really similar to Jonathan Taylor's takeoff. He's a kid that I don't want to leave drafts without. He is true elite RB1 potential. I'm taking him in redraft despite of Najee. I'm going to take the risk. I think the upside is truly worth the gamble. And his dynasty outlook is absolutely elite. Um, you know, I- you know, this is kind of a bold statement, but I think if he gets the full workload, he's going to challenge Genty for the top RB crown of the class. My next must draft rookie is RJ Harvey. I know that there is so much hype around this kid, but it really is a dream landing spot. So he's going to go to the Denver Broncos at pick 60. There was a couple of other really good teams that were eyeing up RJ Harvey, one of them being the Jacksonville Jaguars. So James Gladstone, he comes from the Rams. They're really good at drafting, and they were eyeing him at the top of round three. So I just think it's interesting that a lot of good offensive minds like Liam Cohen and Sean Payton wanted this kid. And right away he's going to go into that Joker role, that Alvin Kamara role in Sean Payton's offense. It seems like he has a couple of them, one being the running back and one being the tight end. Um, RJ Harvey, make no mistake about it, man. This kid is a do-it-all weapon. I watched him at UCF. He is an elite pass catcher, a very underrated pass catcher. Like, you watch him catch out of the backfield, he looks like a receiver. Elite movement. He has elite vision. He has underrated size too. Like, he is a couple pounds away from being the same size as Ashton Jenny. Everybody acts like he's too small. The only flaw that I have with RJ Harvey is his age. He is 24, so his second contract, he's going to be about 28, but that's the only flaw in his entire profile. His vision was one of the best in the class. Um, like I said before, he's going to be Peyton's do it all back. I do think the hype is real. And at his ADP, in best ball, I think it's around like 50 right now. Absolutely a steal. No doubt smash pick in any format. Redraft, best ball, dynasty. We got to chase the upside here. If he gets that Alvin Kamara workload, and especially in PPR formats, he's going to feast. My third must draft rookie is TreyVeon Henderson. If you're a TreyVeon Henderson stan, well, you couldn't have asked for a better landing spot. So this was a top five back in an elite class. Um, Not a lot of tread on the tires. He split with Judkins in college. So, there's not a lot of wear on his tires. He's arguably the best pass protector and best pass catching back in the class. Very underrated pass protector. A lot of people think he's more of like, just a receiving back. Dude, he's not that small, and he will literally lay the wood with anybody. So, he is a great pass protector. He really is a do-it-all back. So the one concern with him is Stevenson will get, some work, right? But I think it's going to be more of like Stevenson's going to be a Montgomery light, and then you could look at Henderson like a Jamari Gibbs. I think he's going to get utilized very similar. He's going to do it all. Like he's going to get, touches on the ground, but they're also going to throw the ball to him a lot, especially when you know that he can pass protect, which is like coaches like Mike Vrabel, they covet that, right? Because now when it's third down, you don't need Ramondre Stevenson out there. You can let, Henderson go out there, block, and he could peel off and go out and make a big play. So that's a very good skill to have. And when you look at what the Patriots are trying to do, they addressed their offensive line. They added one of the best tackles in the draft at fourth overall. And then they took the best center in the class, in my opinion, in the third round. So Vrabel coming in with that run first mentality, he really wants to pound the ball, establish the run, similar to Harbaugh, man. That's why I respect these guys so much. And I'm not saying he's going to be Derrick Henry, but the style of football Mike Vrabel is going to bring to New England. New England is going to take a step this year. I do think that TreyVeon Henderson and PPR really is going to be a good value. Again, Stevenson might vulture some touchdowns. It might be annoying here and there, but I think year one, he still has value in PPR redrafts. And in Dynasty, he is an elite stash. I would draft him with all confidence because one day this is going to be his backfield, and the upside is absolutely tantalizing. TreyVeon Henderson is very legit. Our fourth must draft rookie is Tyler Warren. So I think this is one of the more underrated landing spots. I'm going to get into that in a second. I was hoping for Denver. I'm a Tyler Warren stan. I think he's one of the best college football tight ends I've ever seen. Very close to Brock Bowers. Now, the quarterback situation isn't ideal, but I do think, as disgusting as it is to say, I do think Daniel Jones wins that job. And not only does he win that job, I think he's going to play well. Now, the only reason I say that is because we saw it happen with Sam Darnold last year. Like these kids, they play on these terrible New York rosters that I don't think a lot of people understand how bad they are. Like they're supporting cast, and they go to these decent situations with solid offensive lines and good weapons, and they take a step, right? So I'm not saying Daniel Jones is going to be Sam Darnold. I do think that he's going to beat out Anthony Richardson. And I think with Shane Steichen, a solid Colts offensive line, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell, and Tyler Warren, the Colts have a very underrated offense, especially with Jonathan Taylor still running the rock. So either way, I love that the Colts brought in Daniel Jones because a lot of us bought into the Anthony Richardson hype last year. I was one of them. And this competition is going to do one of two things is that either Anthony Richardson's going to, answer the call, and this is going to bring out the best quarterback in Anthony Richardson, or Daniel Jones rebounds, right? And they get a better quarterback in that sense. So either way, I do think this offense will be fantasy friendly one way or the other. Now, Shane Steichen is running this offense, and his offense always features the tight ends, even going back to his Philadelphia Eagles days. So you could be buying low on a very underrated offense that most people think is trash right now. And I get it. Quarterback situation is very murky, without a doubt. But like I said before, I think this is one of the best college football tight ends I've ever seen. And in dynasty drafts, I think he is an elite pick because the day he does have a decent quarterback throwing him the ball, he's going to be a top 5 tight end without a doubt. So he is a must draft in TE premium leagues. I would definitely take him over Loveland. And he's an awesome value in redraft. You're going to get him a little bit later on. I'm personally one of the people where it's like one of the builds that I like to do is I take tight ends later, right? And I try to find that value. And I think that could be Tyler Warren this year. On best ball, his ADP, I believe, is around 100. That's a very good value, especially if you miss out on one of the elite ones like Brock Bowers or Trey McBride early on. So definitely draft Tyler Warren, full confidence. At the end of the day, we saw what Brock Bowers did with those two quarterbacks last year. I do think Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones possess more talent than the Raiders quarterbacks last year. And last but not least, our fifth must draft rookie is Tre Harris. So Tre Harris is one of my favorite receivers in the entire class, and he gets a dream landing spot. So the Chargers finally land their X receiver. They chased it with Quentin Johnston. It didn't work. A lot of us, didn't like Quentin, but we loved the landing spot. We loved, just the upside. And it's like, oh man, but if this kid could catch the ball, didn't work out. Right. But when you break down Tre Harris, there's so much to love. So the numbers speak for themselves. He's the number one. In college football, he was number one in yards per route run, 5.2. He was number one in receiving yards per game. He averaged 17.2 yards per reception, and he had a 70% success rate versus press and man. So before his injury, he was top 6 in targets, number 2 in receptions, number 3 in touchdowns across the country. Harbaugh wanted to take him at 1, which I think is very, very interesting. I think that kind of tells how high they are on him. And what I heard was Harbaugh was ready to take him in the first round. Horowitz told him, no, like we did our research, trust our board, trust our scouting department. Let's take Hampton here. We're going to get Harris in round 2. And they were debating the trade up, but Horowitz, he said, nope, we're going to sit put. He's going to be there. And it actually worked out, which is awesome if you're a Chargers fan. You get 2 guys that you thought were first round talents. Now, that being said, I do think, I know Ladd McConkey's there. I'm a Ladd McConkey stan. He is an absolute beast. But don't worry, because they're going to be able to coexist. So think of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, right? So Ladd McConkey is obviously the slot receiver. He did play some routes on, he had some routes on the outside last year, but I'm sure they'd much rather him running from the slot. So he's going to take over that Keenan Allen role, and you're going to see Tre Harris really step into that Mike Williams X role. And this is very exciting because one, Justin Herbert is a very, very, if not one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the entire NFL. It was only like 2 years ago he was going, first or second in super flex drafts. And a lot of people forget that. Now, he has 2 young studs, Ladd and Tre Harris, who I think is very legit. And now, I think they're both going to thrive together. So I think he's easily 1,000-yard receiver. I think he's a 1,000-yard rookie. I do. I think he's going to enter a monster workload with Justin Herbert. And I have him a smash pick in dynasties. Like, I'm taking him at the end of the first round if I have to reach for him. And I love him in redraft because you're going to get him so late. He's going to go. I think his ADP is like 120 right now. Easy pick, man, because listen, those are all upside shots anyway. And the reality is those guys, you're looking to get either somebody that, they're an injury away from being an elite starter, right? Or, there's an avenue for them to, enter a monster workload. And Tre Harris has all of that, so if he doesn't work out, you could eventually drop him, right? But I just don't think he's not going to get a lot of targets. I think he's going to get a lot of targets early on, and I think he's going to be peppered. So I think he's an easy 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie, and he is one of my must drafts this year. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the content. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.